Blessings and welcome forward. The reasonings right here at the Tree of Life, yeah. And it's a beautiful um, morning. We all know about the kind of patterns in the weather for this time of the year and the unexpected thing that's happening with all this dust, and sand that's coming here in the west, mimicking the ancestral patterns of ancient times, right? Isn't it interesting when you have modern pundits who are so encultured in following other people's arguments, they have no recourse but to pull on their statements to explain things that are present in their own lives. And I'll explain. This is the final installment in Origin and Destiny, as I seal it all off, like I'm giving this a lot of information. Now, somebody made a sneaky comment. I removed it, of course. Somebody made a sneaky comment under my last video. And so, you have to go and research what the statements was. When I go, I say, okay, cool. Why didn't you come out and say these things, like write them there? But you went to some statements written by people that you do not even know. So here's the issue now. There are people driven by passions, belief system, no actual truths. They are so wound up, so enraptured by their beliefs, they're willing to hurt people, destroy people, dishonor, and even disrespect people because they believe they're in the esteemed right. And I look at it and I say to myself, hmm, this is the narrative of the current age where everybody's so outraged, but yet do not have a substantive dichotomy of the experience and the information to present a clear argument. Everything is just passion, and everybody is right, and I'm going through this, and I'm going through that, and you don't know, and you don't know, but yet still you want to conflate everyone's experience of information to you and to yours. And as a matter of fact, not even yours, because none of what you're standing on as an argument is coming from you. I present something from my years of research, years of study, years of analysis in my anthropology of the ancestral, all right? You do not have an argument to counteract because you do not understand to even begin to place an argument to counteract. So the first thing you do is make some slight comment. It is like someone who says, I have two examples. I'm going to start off with this one. It's like someone who says, I know how to make this machine work. And someone says to them, oh, so you're an engineer. You're familiar with this machine specifically, or machines like this? And I'm say, no, but I just know, hey, I can make this machine work. The person who designed this machine is no more brilliant than me. God has not gifted that person with anything any more than God has gifted me with. And by the power of my mind and my will, I will operate this machine. I can build this machine, right? And I'm going to show you that I know how to work this machine. And so people might say, Jerome, that is an absurd argument. Really? Do you know much unqualified people they are? Claro. That are in positions of power, in positions of importance, that have never been trained in the actual dynamics of their job, of their occupation? Absurd, you say? Absurd? Really? People like that will say, I have the right to, because, and they've got support through ideology or force, belief or coercion. And these coercion puts them in these positions. And so doesn't matter if it takes an engineer to operate this machine. Joe, self-declared engineer, is on the job. So any form of misappropriations, mismanagement it's to be expected, man. It's Joe self-declared, man. And so we have this somewhat subjunctive, broken kind of dichotomy, functionality going around. People acting so passionate without actual information, going off, other people's information without actually doing the dichotomy, doing the research, doing the analysis themselves, and coming up with a strong counter argument that is equal to the argument that's being presented. It's so weird when people quote statements written in a book because they hold it as a religious book. but do not want to examine the fact that those statements existed thousands of years before that book and cannot come to explain to themselves or to anyone because they do not want to have an argument, because it means that you're going to have to research that. So you just take these thoughts and say A, B, C, and D says this, and this is what it is. Really? Is that really what it is? Have you analyzed it in terms of its linguistic anthropology? Do you know if this is an original text accrued within the time it said it was accrued, it was collated? Do you even know if the characters presented are truly the characters that really live the experience, or are these people the interpreters of their experience? And I think when you can learn what connotation is versus what denotation is, then you know how to really understand an argument. And we are so filled with belief systems. We're so filled with a lack of knowledge that when knowledge is presented, it's like people get lost. I know for the other example I would give, it's like there is another set of people in this world. Again, it comes off of the same mindset of thinking, well, you know, we know because the word says so, so we know. Do they really know? It's like a person says, here I am to heal and to offer aid to those who have been hurt and disenfranchised. And you come into a particular community and you begin to tell someone that what is the cause of this is not a psychological state. It is a state of lack of understanding in your biology. You're eating toxins, right, that are reacting to your body that you cannot see, right? And someone will say to you, no, this is the curses of God that are taking these people, right? And the curses and the plagues of God is upon these people. And the doctor says, no, they're going through a biological pathogen that is causing some form of degeneration in the cellular property, and hence, the weakening of the immune system, and hence influenza, diphtheria, and all these things, which are actually coded in the genes, right? You're going to have a person tell you that, listen to me, a curse is upon these people. What you're saying is ungodly. What you're saying is ungodly. So, to operate in here, you have to be a Christian. You have to be a knower of God right here, else you cannot operate. So, are you a knower? Are you a believer of God? The doctor will say, I am. I believe in God. So, whoa, whoa, whoa. So what? Didn't you hear we say it is a curse? So how it is that you're going to tell us that it's something else? Are you a doctor? Are you a believer? I'm a doctor, but I'm also a believer. Really? You're either a doctor or you're a believer. And you say, no such people exist, really. Do you know what happens along these avenues of information, especially when it sounds religious? You have the religious thought police and the spirit police. They're there to defend ignorance, things of which they do not know about. That is why, for years, several people were left to die because it was said that there were curses upon them. Now imagine if that thought process is supported today with the amount of access to information we have, and seeing how much information has advanced the experience of the human life, one cannot say the lack of information, the lack of knowledge is nothing. It is very fundamental, especially if you want to be in a position of power. If you do not have that knowledge, how to accrue and how to disseminate, how to actualize, how to function as a dignitary, how to be functionary and statesman, how to be financially copious, how to be divine in nature, and to lead a nation, a civilization, then how could you speak to such a thought if you do not understand the efficacies of being genuinely prepared for such a task? So if you are not informed in the dichotomies presented, do not attempt an ignorant rebuttal, refutal. Do you understand? It's just nonsensical. Be educated and be informed, because the true enemy is the dark spirit of ignorance that is rampant within the soul, within the being, while people are acting so ignorant and without self-awareness. And here it is. We are losing clarity, where truth and God is competing. God is truth. Truth is God. So how can they compete? You know they're competing because the power thoughts of some individual is trying to subjunct and supplant God with their personalities, with their belief systems, with their control mechanisms, with their fears, with their phobias, unsubstantiated fears and phobias, disorientations, and incomprehensive understanding of the dissertation. That's what's going on. So, brethren, sistren, kings and queens, wherever you find yourself in this reality, seek knowledge before the vengeful statements, pronouncements, and expressions, right? And be very, very clear in respect and dignity, because a lot of times we assume, and there's no merit in what we're assuming, but we can get support for that assumption, and as such, we can turn into a mob, and we can harass, we can hurt, can distort, and we can disturb the peace and the presence. Until next time, this has been Jerome Sage Butler, Reasonings right here at the Tree of Life, Origin and Destiny, completing the cycles of our understanding of our celestial origins and its manifestation in the wavelengths and frequency entanglement on this plane. This wonderful manifestation of divine providence. Oh, what a gift it is to be here within the living cosmos, all circular, cyclical, so above, so below. Yeah? So within, so without. Love, joy, harmony in this awesome, amazing, beautiful day of our being. And people, be not shocked by the signs of the time, because the ages of change and transformation, transmutation is upon us. See? And as such, scarily, eerily, crazily, amazingly, wonderfully, divine stuff will happen. And as such, the adjustment to the limited spectrum of your being is going to come into test. Be strong, be fortified in the eternal presence. Don't be ashamed of the nature of your being. Don't let it be conscripted to a limitation. Be limitless as the providence of divine presence in this spiritual magnificence as afforded us.